matter
let me
anywhere.
just say, I think, and I know a bunch of people who serve in the IDF, and I don't believe your average IDF soldier wants to kill innocents. I just want to be really clear about that. I don't think most soldiers want to do that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them in our country, in Israel, wind up doing that because that's what war is about, and it really hurts them. And I know people who've done it personally, know them really well, and it like wrecks their lives. So, but I don't think your average soldier wants that in this country or any other. The leadership is a different question, and I want to refer you very specifically to a number of speeches the Prime Minister, your friend Benjamin Netanyahu, gave in the aftermath of October 7th, including one in November of that year, when he referred to Amalek. Now, Amalek is a reference, a biblical reference, so of course you'll be very familiar with that. The Amalekites were a tribe described throughout the Bible, particularly in 1 Samuel, that obstructed the Jews as they fled Egypt. And God tells Samuel to give the instructions to Saul to kill the Amalekites. And he says, and I'm sure you remember this is in 1 Samuel 15, of course, I know you know it. He says, kill the men, kill the women, kill the children, kill the infants, kill the donkeys, kill the camels, kill everything. And Saul spares the king, and he spares the animals. And for that, he is punished by God. That is genocide. God is calling for genocide of the Amalekites, of Amalek. And the Prime Minister of Israel, at least once, I believe on other occasions, described the Palestinians in Gaza as Amalek. That's calling for genocide. And you know that.
I totally disagree.
Tell me then what it means.
Because to say that Israel was attempting to commit genocide, first of all, that's simply not true.
I'm saying, what is the Prime Minister talking about? Why would he refer to the Palestinians as Amalek? What is Amalek?
You would have to ask him. I don't know. I know what Amalek is. I do understand 1 Samuel 16. I get all
15.
that.
1 Samuel 15.
But I do understand.
And it's widely known. So if you say our enemy is Amalek and we are proceeding on the basis of God's commands to us, you are calling for genocide. Tell me how I'm missing something.
Because if Israel wanted to commit genocide, they could have done it in 2.5 hours.
We can debate what's happened in Gaza. I'm asking
hours.
you why the leader of this country.
Ask him.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know.
Does that bother you at all?
People, I don't know what he meant. I don't know if it was an illustrative metaphor. I think what he was saying was that we're not going to let anything keep us from getting our hostages back, their sons and their daughters who are being brutalized, raped, tortured, starved, beaten.
Come on, Mr. Miss.
No, I think
there are many examples of justice in the Bible. But there are
Israel
very
gets
few.
accused of genocide regularly.
I'm not accusing Israel of anything. I'm saying that the Prime Minister of Israel described the Palestinians
Do you think he
as Amalek.
attempted to do genocide?
I'm asking why, of all the references in the Bible, and there are many to justice, and there are many to reconciliation, that is a reference to genocide, as you know, killing every man, woman, child, and infant, I'm quoting, and their animals, wiping them from the earth. And when they don't do that, they're punished. When you say that at the outset of a war, and then you wind up with massive civilian casualties, maybe not as big as they were in Iraq, then I have to ask you, what is that? And is that kind of thinking consistent with Western values and with Christianity? Do we as Christians believe it's okay to kill people's children?
Ah, that made me emotional. Made me emotional to see that. Susie Wiles had tears in her eyes, which you don't often see in politics, but it's real. This is the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever seen. And whatever happens next in America, I hope it's in this direction, because God is here and you can feel it. And Charlie would have loved this, not just because he loved large groups of people, but because ultimately he was a Christian evangelist. And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I could just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted.
I just looked this up, Charlie. I didn't realize this, Jack. The last time that in Belarus they used capital execution here was in 2019, and it was by firearm.
Yeah, that's how you should. By the way, this is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many appeals.
Expensive.
It should be public. It should be quick. It should be televised.
Well, this can't be right, can it? The last execution in France was guillotine in 1977.
100% true. They used the guillotine.
Until 77?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
There's videotape of it.
Honestly, that's like what we should be doing, and I agree. It should be public
And
should be
televised.
public square.
By the way, you could fund
force
the
kids
government
to watch it.
You could have like brought to you by Coca-Cola, and no, I'm not kidding. By the way, I would totally tune in to see some pedo get their head chopped off. Convicted by a jury.
By the way,
years.
that's going to get.
No, I'm talking about a real thing. I'm not talking
all
about
executions in Belarus are by firearm. That's not a choice or anything.
Andrew's saying don't make kids watch it, and I think no, the absolute
I think
opposite.
at a certain age, it's an initiation.
16, if you can drive, you can
no,
watch
but hold
it.
on.
Not
You
even
see,
16,
if
I would
all of a
say-
sudden you look at some of these savages, like in Indiana, there was this guy that went in and killed a pregnant woman and her 3 kids.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to watch that execution. That'll make my day better. I want to see him on a public block and get him be publicly executed. And I think that would be justice. You think children should have? You should see it. What is the age? At what age should you start to see public executions?
16.
I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12,
Whenever-
like 6th grade or so. You are a person, they're old enough to. You don't need to like really wallow in it and have them be broken on a wheel or anything. But if it was something like chopping, if we had a guillotine or something.
I think it's the age where they can't be, I think there's too early and you become desensitized to maybe like this. I think it's when you can actually embrace.
But it should also be
the
taken
meaning.
in a holy way.
The meaning.
No, I don't mean holy in a bad way. I mean that like this is heavy.
Like this is
Bluntly,
the meaning
we have
of it.
kids who are 14 who are committing carjackings
100%.
in cities and doing
Yes.
bad stuff. And I think
Yeah, you're
if you
probably
sent the
right.
message to them, if you do a bad crime, you will die, and it will be like this, and that
No,
will
but
be
just-
you.
just
But I think it
would be
tears
a
down.
positive message.
So
If-
my argument would be younger people get involved with that because they're around older people who do those things.
I want you to imagine
And gangs.
every day, all of a sudden they said, and today, remember that awful the guy that went and shot up a school? Because, the left hates school shooters, and so do we. But they focus on the gun. I think they're evil. So, you take one of these school shooters and they say, today we're going to publicly execute this person. And
About
they read
the
off
Super Bowl.
No, yeah, the shooters at the Super Bowl thing, and you read off what they did.
parade, not
and
the- not
you
the-
don't, you don't celebrate it. You just say, look, this is what they did, and if you do this, this will be your fate. Ready, set, go. Boom. End of life. And say
Guillotine.
I just a
Scared
question.
Straight used to be a whole TV show.
No, but
like, this is
as a
Scared
question-
Straight for everybody.
Here's a question for anyone that might be, not persuaded. Would crime go up or down?
It would go way down.
Done. So that why is this even a question?
Well, they'll
this-
say it's not a deterrent, and it's not because
course
our
it's a
current,
deterrent,
our current,
though.
and our current system is just as dumb as it could possibly be.
You get a
only
last
do it-
meal. No, they should
and
make
it's not
you
even
eat
that.
bran.
It's not. It's only done for a tiny minority of even murderers. Only a handful of murderers actually get it, and then
Yes.
their odds of getting executed are very low. And it happens 25 years later. You have to run articles in the newspaper to remind people why this bad person was on death row in the first place.
I'm going to tell you, this is what's so frustrating about American culture. I mean, we took all the best parts of Greek culture and Roman culture and French culture and the Revolution and everything else, and we didn't keep this part. Like, we have the Colosseums for sports, but we don't have it for this. I totally agree with this sentiment. Is like we shouldn't make it like a celebration.
No, it should be a
somebody.
heavy thing.
It should be a heavy thing. It's corporal punishment.
way-
It's capital punishment.
Good evening, my fellow Goyam. How's that? I've decided that when you guys actually move to elect me the dictator of the United States, or maybe the dictator of the world, that's how I will greet you guys every night and bring you the news. I don't know how your weekend went, but I was marked safe from being in the Epstein files. Me, Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, we were marked safe. Boy, oh boy, were we right. We were so right. This podcast, can I just say that it's actually aging like fine wine? Because this was me on like Thursday of last week. Take a listen. This is the synagogue of Satan. I do not go halfway with defending pedophiles. Goodbye. Are you out of your minds? I hate all of you. I think you guys are all a part of the same demonic entity. Your God is Satan. You guys are Baal worshipers. You will continue to kill and sacrifice children until you feel that demon rewards you. And I stand against you.
You're intense.
Yeah, this is how I feel about these people.
Intense.
They are satanic right and left at the top. I'm kind of feeling like I actually didn't go hard enough. Anyway, today we are going max like always. Welcome back to Candace.
In other words, the emotions of fear, of anxiety, of depression, of hatred, of regret, of resentment, of conflict, of war, all these things generate or trigger people to generate these low vibrational frequencies. So first of all, there is no benefit whatsoever in this astral force of entities, which are talked about throughout human history, to have a human world that is based on love, on joy, on peace, on harmony, on balance. None. Because that's not the frequency they absorb. So when you had the Morpheus character in the Matrix hold that battery up and say the Matrix, which is this is a simulated reality created by this astral force, held up the battery and said the Matrix is a computer generated dream world built to turn humans into one of these. It was a very profound truth in an apparently fictional movie. We are an energy source, but only if we're in a low vibrational state. So you have this astral force, these entities, these demonic entities, and they have in service to them within the human reality this global cult of secret societies, which are fiercely compartmentalized. So most people in them haven't got a clue what's really going on. It's the inner core I'm talking about. And the role of this global cult is to generate events and happenings in the human realm that are going to trigger in human response to these events though that low vibrational energy.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again. Freeze it.
This isn't the Matrix?
No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
What are they?
Sentient programs. They can move in and out of any software still hardwired to their system. That means that anyone we haven't unplugged is potentially an agent. Inside the Matrix, they are everyone, and they are no one.
We have survived by hiding from them, by running from them. But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
Someone.
I won't lie to you, Neo. Every single man or woman who has stood their ground, everyone who has fought an agent has died. But where they have failed, you will succeed.
Why?
I've seen an agent punch through a concrete wall. Men have emptied entire clips at them and hit nothing but air. Yet their strength and their speed are still based in a world that is built on rules. Because of that, they will never be as strong or as fast as you can be.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
Well, this is a very exciting day. Long in the making. And many countries have just received their notice. And everybody wants to be a part of it. And we'll work with many others, including the United Nations. But I want to thank you all for being here. Yesterday we had an incredibly successful visit with many of the world's top business leaders, the best, the biggest, most successful, and foreign heads of state. And now we have one of the most important meetings of all, the official formation of what is known as the Board of Peace.
Now that Republicans have begun welcoming QAnon into the political mainstream, it's time Americans learned what it is. QAnon is a growing movement within the Republican Party that believes the world is being run behind the scenes by a small group of elitist liberals and Hollywood celebrities who are both Satan worshipers and pedophiles who eat babies and wear red shoes to signal their membership in this group.
So this is Bill Maher discovering that his attempt at being ironic is just coming off as an accurate news report. So he thinks he's being funny and making fun of them. But now in retrospect, because I don't know when this is, probably from 2020, because it looks like it was during COVID. And now in retrospect, it looks like he's just doing a straight news. Oh, wow, look, they were right. No, he thinks he's making fun of them. Here we go.
A group that includes Hillary Clinton, Tom Hanks, Ellen, the Pope, and every president since Reagan. And that there are two heroes who will put a stop to this. President Donald Trump and Q himself, the anonymous leader who founded QAnon with one overarching theme, that you're being lied to and everything you think you know is really the opposite.
Well, here's what Bill Maher is saying now. You ready?
The Epstein files and 3 million pages being released. And, you know, now we are hearing that Bill and Hillary Clinton have both agreed to testify in the House ahead of the contempt of Congress vote. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, this is certainly something we were talking in my meeting today about what I'm going to talk about on the show Friday, because it's just too interesting. And also, you know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but where does QAnon go for the apology?
Whoa.
You know, I mean, QAnon, which believed in lots of really ridiculous things, like, you know, Democrats eat babies.
Yeah.
But they were kind
Huh?
So you didn't see the part about the eating the babies and the Epstein? I guess maybe he didn't see it yet. But here we go. He's still going to apologize to QAnon.
of harping a lot on the idea that the elites are running this pedophile ring. And I mean, I made jokes about them. I also made jokes after the Epstein thing happened originally that were on the idea of, well, you know, obviously there was some smoke there. Well, now with all that's come out in the last couple of weeks, there's a little more than smoke. It does look like anybody who was at all able to get in touch with Jeffrey Epstein, he was the man.
We're doing it.
They just
the idea of Judeo-Christian values, when one group thinks that, and not just one group, you know, it's not just the Christians that think that Jesus was a great man. Well, they think he's God or whatever, but the Muslims, they think that Jesus was a great prophet. So these two religions are actually like pretty similar. One thinks he's God, one thinks he's a great prophet, but either way, it's, you know, the majority of the world thinks that Jesus is a great man. It's only the Jews that don't. They're literally like the only ones that think he was a piece of shit.
Well, they killed him, right? Them and the Romans, right?
Well, they definitely killed him for sure. Well, they ordered it. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if the president orders an assassination, the president killed you, not the person that like shows up at your door, right? So, like, you know, it's not the guy that was like wielding the axe, the guy that told the guy wielding the axe to kill you. So, the Jews definitely killed Jesus. It's unequivocal. And the weird thing is that was just like undisputed, agreed upon knowledge until recently. And I remember it was like, I don't know how many years ago, but not that long ago, I just like Googled, did the Jews kill Jesus? And it was like 14 articles saying no. And it's like, what? Like the Bible says it, like, wait, what are you guys talking about? And it's crazy. And then, you know, you look, it's like Google is Jewish owned, AI is Jewish owned. It's like all these things like OpenAI, like all this stuff. And so you just get really like biased information, but even with that biased information, you can still find the truth.
Yeah, right. You can.
And the truth is that, you know, they think Jesus is a piece of shit. And
now, Jesus, he was Jew, right? He was a Jew, right?
Well, so he, you know, that's kind of disputed. I think he was more of a Palestinian than a Jew. I mean,
well, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
So first things first, according to the Shroud of Turin, Jesus was around 6 foot tall with a handsome face, high cheekbones, straight nose with a visible jawline, olive brown skin complexion, neutral canthal eye tilt, and long parted hair at shoulder width. He stood in clear contrast to the national average of first century Judea, which was 5'3" in height, a much more weathered look due to being, you know, a majority working class, being associated with stressful labor, and shorter hair. So by every metric, Jesus Christ was an absolute mogger and an aesthetic specimen at first glance. He dominated every room he was in with simply his physical presence. Jesus had an unstoppable halo effect in order to carry out his prophetic mission. That is the first lesson at hand that we must properly integrate and accept. Now on to the next point. The messenger matters. So when I am asked, do you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? I answer with my entire heart and devotion, yes. But my problem is that this is actually a rather unspecific sentiment. Essentially, what I am hearing is, do you have this narrative structure memorized and tattooed on your brain? And will you never divert from it? Honestly, it's a very vague sentiment that is more often accepted due to church trauma rather than independent enlightenment. And that is my experience with many churchgoers that I've spoken to. My problem with all these Christian teachings is that they're solely based on academic memorization of texts instead of direct experience. So I am here to counter all of that at the risk of looking blasphemous. So here's my take. Jesus Christ had experienced cosmic consciousness and he was in a constant mystical state of reality. So was able to see the interconnectedness of God's design and how the Creator loved all of us as children. And I know some of you have experienced the transcendent. I've had several mystical experiences personally, and I know dozens of people who have also shared the same details and feelings articulated in fellowship. Now, of course, due to faulty imprinting and programming from this incredibly corrupt system, very few of us can maintain that state of consciousness, of course. But even more accurate, very human beings have been in that room, I'll say. The feeling that everything is interconnected and a part of God's design. The feeling that everything is one and you are everything. The sensation of polarity. In other words, the sensation that all information through all senses, including senses that go beyond human sensations and language, are in communion with one another through duality.
And on the other side, we have three symbols. We are very happy to announce that the Mikdash Educational Center just produced a new Cyrus Trump Temple coin. This special coin was produced and minted for the 70 years of the independence of the State of Israel, and to honor and praise President Donald Trump, who promised, but not only promised, also fulfilled his promise, And next week, we'll move the American embassy to Jerusalem. Charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem. The candelabra was always the symbol of the state of Israel. In 3 languages, in Hebrew, in English, and in Arabic. עזוב את איראן עכשיו, דיברנו על איראן מקודם. President Trump is starting a prophetic process by moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. Just like King Cyrus 2,500 years ago said, he charged me to build a house in Jerusalem. Here again, President Trump is building a house in Jerusalem.
Well, good early morning, Carly. Glad you made it in. Those indirect talks brokered by Amman's foreign minister set to resume any minute now in Geneva. It's not clear if the U.S. will actually engage Iran face-to-face. The notes are passed by intermediaries. Now, many see this as a last-ditch effort to prevent a war between the United States and Iran. And Vice President J.D. Vance shared a recent assessment about their nuclear program yesterday.
The principle is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they try to rebuild a nuclear weapon, that causes problems for us. And in fact, we've seen evidence that they have tried to do exactly that. So the president sending those negotiators to try to address that problem, as the president has said repeatedly, he wants to address that problem diplomatically, but of course the president has other options as well.
Axios reporting White House envoy Steve Witkoff told a private gathering on Tuesday that the Trump administration is demanding that Iran agree any future nuclear deal will remain in effect indefinitely. President Trump and other critics of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal negotiated by the Obama administration seized on those sunset provisions as one of its main flaws. Now, new satellite photos indicate Iran trying to access the 3 nuclear sites bombed by American B-2 bombers and that guided missile submarine in June as part of Operation Midnight Hammer. Iran's foreign minister says his country is not ready to give up what he calls peaceful nuclear technology. And the Pentagon continues to bolster forces in the region. A squadron of 5th-generation F-22 Raptors arrived at an Israeli air base for the first time yesterday. More Raptors landed in Britain yesterday from the 1st Fighter Wing based in Langley, Virginia. And evacuations are also underway. Officials say the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain has now been reduced to mission-critical levels. Less than 100 people remain. We saw something similar before Operation Midnight Hammer, an indication strikes could be coming very soon.
I don't know where to start.
Wherever you want.
That ship that appeared last night, I'm the one they're looking for.
Do you know why they want you?
No, but this general's odd. Even if I surrender, there's no guarantee he'll keep his word. But if there's a chance I can save Earth by turning myself in, shouldn't I take it?
What does your gut tell you?
Assad can't be trusted. The problem is, I'm not sure the people of Earth can be either.
Masks, no masks, everything, you can do all you want, but you know, you still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened. We need help. Right? Yeah, we need help. It's all right to say it. Now, they'll criticize me for that. How dare he say that? How dare he say that? No, I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it. Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ."
Boss,
You can save her, Cal. You can save all of them.